Just got back from my raw milk run and I have got to do some errands, got to run into town, but first I'm going to come out here like I do usually every morning and try to just kind of look over the garden, check on some of the chickens and just kind of see how things are growing. I have a lot of my herbs up here by the house. This is actually just kind of setting there for a future cold frame. I just wanted to kind of put it there, get used to it being there. So over here I have all of this is where I put our herbs, a lot of my herbs. This is new this year. I'm going wild, but I kind of like that. I kind of like just letting it go and seeing what it's doing. But that lemon balm, oh my goodness. I didn't realize that it was part of the mint family and that it grows all like that, because now I know why it reminds me of mint. So, but my mints over here are in pots. Everything is flowering. Some of the stuff I really need to harvest and do something with. I'm gonna take some and get some starts going. I know the tarragon and the thyme I was able to get some starts and start it in other places in the garden. So a lot of times if you buy one plant, you can actually make more and do more with it than what you had planned on. So like right here, this right here is a sage, pineapple sage that I bought. This is a variegated sage. I can't remember what the actual name of it is, but this pineapple sage was just a small little plant. I mean, it was tiny, one little sprouting, and now it has gone crazy being right there. So we're gonna head out to garden and we're gonna try and see what we can find out here. I've been planting some new things. I have never planted a fall garden before, so we're gonna do that. And I love my greenhouse. I'm definitely gonna have to do a video on that and show you guys how we built it and some of the stuff that you could maybe do your own. Zinnias, and I've got some, I don't know what these are. These were coming up. I had been weed eating them or mowing them down. I've got those. I planted some marigolds this year. I bought those plants and planted those. But yeah, I've got thyme and tarragon back here, and the zinnias are coming up so beautifully. And this is my rose bed. I got all these roses from my grandmother's house. I took quite a few of them and put them here, hoping that I wasn't going to kill them and they would live. So they did live. And I have another of my grandmother's old-fashioned pink climbing rose that I absolutely love, and it's such a wonderful smell that I really want to do some things with as well. Now, my garden this year has kind of went crazy, which is a good thing. I'm not complaining at all. But these butternut squash, look at these butternut squash. They have went nuts. It was actually old seed that I started when I started like 6 to 8 of them. I think I have 8, not realizing that they would all live, and they are just going crazy. So right here you can see I actually have a zucchini plant that I moved from one of the raised beds because it wasn't getting enough sun. I moved it here, and I'm having to clip the butternut squash leaves away so that it can get enough sun. There is another pepper plant in here. It wasn't doing well, so I didn't worry about it, but I do have one here. It's supposed to be a lunchbox pepper. I'm not real pleased with it. I don't know. We'll see how it turns out. One of them was supposed to be orange, and I think one of them red. So I don't know. We'll see. But I have probably 15 to 20 butternut squash. So if you have a recipe you love with butternut squash, send it to me. So read that butternut squash is actually supposed to be kind of resistant to squash bugs, which is awesome. But yeah, so I don't know. We'll see how they turn out. These are all tomatoes that I started. Don't you like my steak here? These are all tomatoes that I started. I probably don't even know what they are. I had some old seed and I planted like a lot of them to see if the seed was still viable, and they were still viable. But you can see these butternut squash, they are really, and I've been trying to clip them off so they won't get in there and start climbing up the poles or even the actual plant. So I've got to do that. It looks like I've got a zucchini to pick. This is kind of a work in progress. I have my raised beds that I have had for years. Greenhouse is new this year, and then these are actually all new. The plan is to put these all in right here. And as you can see, there's lots of grass still. Raised rows, I'm gonna say is what I'm gonna call them. We have goats, and the last time we cleaned out the barn stall, we put it all behind, and it overwintered last year. So I've been having our youngest son get me some scoops of manure out there and compost and making some raised rows. I did have straw, so that's what's in between the rows. I don't know that I'll use straw again. It was just available and it'll break down, but I think I'm gonna go wood chips because I do like those better. I do have more tomato starts over here. Like I said, I planted a bunch of tomato seeds that I already had, and they have done really, really well. I just have all kinds right here, and they just all of a sudden started, I mean, they have really taken off over the last week or so. I've trimmed them. They haven't got blight like my other ones did back here. I'm trying to keep them trimmed, keep airflow through them. Some of them are labeled. So I have some chocolate cherries, some Big Boy, some Abe Lincoln tomatoes. We butchered chickens a couple of weeks ago, and I had read that if you dilute down the blood, you can actually use it as fertilizer. So these 2 rows actually got that fertilizer. They have just taken off. This is the other row, and then behind here, give you a little sneak peek. Behind here, if you can see some of the pole beans that I have coming up. I'm really excited about how all this turned out. Planted asparagus for the first time this year, and I bought the bare root plants and I planted them in a raised bed, which I probably shouldn't have, and I kind of wish I wouldn't have, right? That it's came up, and so it's gonna be there. So I had some seed that I started, and you can barely see it. You can probably, I don't even know if you can see it down here. Can you see the asparagus? This is the asparagus I started, so this will take a while. This will probably be, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. But I put it right up here against my new garden fence that I made out of pallet, and hoping that maybe it can kind of stay here, and that might be a better option than the raised bed. Had a little volunteer cucumber plant. I'm guessing that's what that is. It kind of came out, we used to throw scraps. The chicken yard used to come out all the way. All this was the chicken yard just about, and we used to throw scraps out there. So we had a volunteer tomato plant come up, and I think a cucumber plant. I'm not real certain on that, what that is, so we'll see as it gets bigger. We've got potatoes. We've got the crazy wild asparagus bed that has some pepper plants in it. Because of the greenhouse, this bed here is shaded more, and I didn't think of that when I planted. So we actually had zucchini and stuff in here, and I moved them, but this one squash plant is left. It's not doing real well. I've gotten maybe 2 off of it. Just haven't moved it again. Squash bugs and all that. But these 2 beds of tomatoes are beefsteak. I don't know that I will plant beefsteak again, or that many beefsteaks. I didn't realize that they take so long to root, and because they're such a large tomato. So I have been getting some, and I have to pick them almost as soon as they start turning, because we have a little rogue chicken out here, and she likes to visit the garden in the morning before I get out here sometimes. And as soon as they show, oh, here's one, I'll show you. Yeah, look at this one. Whoop, look at this one. As soon as they show any red, any just pink, they start into orange up, or any whatever, she's already pecking on it. I even have pumpkin plants in here. That one's not doing so well. But there's pumpkin plants. Well, this is actually pumpkin here, a sugar pumpkin, but there's actually like 2 more in here, and the butternut squash is just taking over. We're gonna be having butternut squash pie, butternut squash soup, butternut squash bread. I'm not sure what else you can do with butternut squash. In this last bed, I have my cucumbers. So here's my cucumbers. I always have a trellis, and I love it because this trellis goes over the top of the raised bed, and they can climb up it, and you can see I've got some that I need to pick today. And then underneath here, which I've got some blight going on, I've been trimming, spraying with a baking soda spray to try to kind of stop the fungus. We'll see how it's going to work. I just sprayed yesterday, and I'm pretty sure it rained, so I'm pretty sure I need to spray that again. These are all Roma tomatoes, so I've gotten some Romas that I've taken, but again, I'm picking them as soon as and it looks like I've got some I need to take in. Picking them as soon as they start to turn, because our little rogue chicken gets out here and eats those. But we do have pepper plants I've gotten some off of, but again, I don't think they're getting enough sun. So I have to rethink my garden for next year and make sure that whatever I put underneath the cucumbers maybe is like lettuce or spinach or something that can handle a little bit less sun, because those pepper plants, I did not think about that, and they need some more sun. So let's go in here. Ooh, I just got doused by the asparagus. All right, so I have lilies all down here, and when they start blooming, they are so pretty. They're kind of to the end of their blooms right now. They're very pretty. I think I've got orange and some yellow and some kind of a pinky coral color. This table was full. It was full of starts, and these, where's my other one? Oh, I have 2 sweet potato starts that I actually started from potato in the house. So I really need to put those in the ground. I've got a couple of starts from, had suckers come up on our pecan tree. I started those, they were doing really well, and it looks like maybe being out here and getting too much water, they've died off. I had elderberry starts. I had like 30 elderberry starts that I pulled off of a bush. They were all doing well, and then I think I got overzealous, watered them too much, and they've all died. I'm just seeing now that yes, they have. So probably I will get some from my mother's house. She's got some. I'll probably dig them up maybe this fall. I need to check on that, but dig them up and transplant some here after I kind of figure out what I want to do out there by the fruit trees and all that area. But these are all maple tree starts. These are actually hopefully gonna live because these are all maple trees from my grandma's that were coming up from her trees that they planted over 75 years ago. One of them is still there. So actually 2 of them are, but one of them is huge, shades the whole backyard. And I thought it would be cool just to have a baby tree from one of the trees at her house. So let's go in to the greenhouse here and you can see, let's see what we've got going on. I have started some seeds and I've kind of had to move them around a little bit. It looks like maybe without all the sun today, I can move them. It gets really hot in here. I have a temperature back here, high of 99, maybe that was yesterday, but it's usually like 110, 114 in here because of this clear plastic. It really heats up and gets really warm in here, which is going to be good for, you know, in the winter or in the early spring whenever I want to plant next year. I do have quite a few little starts for fall. Never done a fall garden before, so I'm really excited about doing a fall garden this year. This has become my new hobby, and I love starting seeds. I love planting stuff, seeing what it's going to do, how far I can push these plants and how far I can harvest. I have a few things. So these are both old seeds. So I like planting, trying to use some of the old seed that I have. So we've got some cabbage and some acorn squash, more cabbage here. It doesn't look like any of these have sprouted yet, but it's only been, they were actually planted the 22nd. I messed up the date on things. So, I mean, they have, they should sprout in the next few days, maybe, as long as I didn't plant them too deep. Now, I did move these down, so these are in direct sun from up here. And I was noticing that the ones did sprout. They were sprouting only in the back where there's kind of a shade from the wood. So I moved these down here to see if they would sprout better without like so much direct hot sun. So these are watermelon radishes. These are actually old seed. And I've got some, it looks like spinach. And I don't see any coming up. That is old seed as well. Now this curly kale here, this is new seed, and like I said, these are all coming up. These were in the shadow from the wood, so I'm wondering if this was all just getting too hot and too dry. And now you can see like this kale, it was all back there, but now some of this is starting to sprout. So I'll probably leave these down here so they're shaded a little bit. They're still going to get sunlight and the warmth, but I think it's going to work better down here. And then as they come up, maybe I can move them up. We'll do a little experiment. But same thing here. This is a really pretty cabbage, but it's from Baker Seeds. And see, you can see that it's coming up here now, right here. But like, see these little, they're so tiny and they're purple. It's a purple cabbage. And we'll go over here. This is Brussels sprouts, and this is new seed as well. And oh, good, it's coming up right here too. I had never grown Brussels sprouts before, and I'd actually hadn't eaten them. I thought they were really cute because they look like baby cabbages, but I hadn't really eaten them. And we've tried a couple recipes. I finally found one that I like. I had bought some frozen Brussels sprouts and put them on a sheet pan with some bacon bits and some cheese. It was actually like a Colby cheese. It was supposed to be Parmesan, and I didn't have any. This last time I made them the same way, but I think I baked them too long because it wasn't actually a recipe I was following. I was doing my own thing, and I think I baked them too long because they were really mushy, and they weren't good like that. So I like a little bit of firmness to them. This is a kind of a mess in here. Got some cushions that I need to recover out of the weather, and just it's becoming kind of a storage. I did clean up a little bit. My fencing that I've cut up from pallets, the extra is over there. I've got rakes and stuff out here. The wheelbarrows in here. It's just kind of a mess right now. I'm still undecided about a door on the greenhouse. I kind of like not having a door. It may be something that we put on in winter and take off during the warmer months. That's actually a good idea. I just thought of that. So that is the little tour of our garden right now. I actually haven't taken you out. I'll have to do another day. I've got some fruit trees and some blueberry bushes that I'm having some issues with. We have another garden out there that we haven't used in a year or two that I'm thinking about putting in some things for fall and getting ready, or just getting ready for next year. But so that's a little tour of most of the things I have growing here. Brief tour of the greenhouse, which I do want to get more in depth on because I love my little greenhouse and I love using things that are found around here or I can be frugal with, that do not cost me a lot of money. I don't like necessarily going out and buying all new material. I love using old things like the tin on this building that came from my grandma's barn.